It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with somewhat lighthearted fare, a little bit more political than what I normally post, but this is just so hilarious that I had to do this story. So, if you've not been paying attention, I'll fill you in a little bit. Apparently, boomers, people born during the baby boom generation, are getting their panties in an uproar because of a phrase that has been used by millennials to blow off more condescending lectures. So let me go ahead and get you up to speed here. So the Independent has reported on this. Right-wing radio host compares boomer to the N-word, Nigger. For those of you who aren't sure what the N-word means, it's a racial slur used to demean black people for centuries, still tossed about pretty frequently, especially by older people. So yeah, let's get to it. A conservative radio host who compared the term boomer to the N-word in a tweet has been widely mocked online and was even the target of a thinly veiled swipe from dictionary.com. Bob Lonsberry, who works for Wham Radio in Rochester, New York, was criticizing an online trend in which millennials and others respond to users born during the baby boom generation with "okay boomer." The phrase is typically used to jab older folks for espousing seemingly outdated views. "Boomer is the N-word of ageism," Mr. Lonsberry began, adding, "being hip and flip does not make bigotry okay." I don't know why I'm talking like that when I quote him. I just think it's funny to mock him because he basically is practically mocking himself with this rant. The radio host added that a quote derisive epithet end quote is not quote acceptable because it is new end quote. While the N-word has been used as a derogatory and racist term to ostracize and further oppress minority communities throughout history, OK Boomer is a punchline with no racial connotation and has no apparent way of inflicting any real harm on folks born during the era of the baby boom in the United States. Of course, those points were made abundantly clear on Twitter as Mr. Lonsberry's tweet received nearly 20,000 replies during the weekend, and the hashtag OKBoomer began trending nationwide. So, yeah, way to self-own there, boy. Yeah. Maybe if you grew up yourself and acted like less of a snowflake. Yeah. So, yeah, Dictionary.com Twitter handle responded to Lonsberry's tweet with a new entry on its website and a tweet that read, "Boomer is an informal noun referring to a person born during a baby boom, especially one born in the United States between 1946 and 1965. The N-word is one of the most offensive words in the English language." The tweet continued. Other prominent users chimed in as well, including 74-time Jeopardy champion Ken Jennings, who quipped, "Don't worry, I'm a Mormon like this guy, so it's okay. I can call him a boomer with the hard R." So yeah, so that's the Independent putting in. Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting on November 8th put up this article. So just to kind of give you a little bit more background. In recent times, media have taken a great interest in highlighting and even generating intergenerational fighting. One example is a focus on the OK Boomer meme, a witty two-word comeback gaining popularity on the internet. OK Boomer is a pithy, cutting retort millennials, those born between 1981 in 1996, and Generation Z, those Zoomers born between even later than 1996, give to those born during the baby boom, which went from 1946 to about 1964 or 65. The digital equivalent of an eye roll, it conveys that the speaker considers a person being dressed to be obtuse, stubborn, and out of date. Though it's today's youth who are frequently claimed to constitute Generation Snowflake, the phrase appears to seriously annoy many, well, boomers, and has generated a great deal of media takes eager to exploit the meme while it is still fresh. For example, today on October 30th, NBC News on November 7th, NPR, November 7th, CNN, November 8th, writing a long self-own in the New York Times on November 2nd, Maureen Dowd, who is this very right-wing Clinton-supporting pseudo-feminist who likes to punch downward, especially left-leaning people, described her annoyance at junior colleagues okay-boomering her to display contempt. The Chicago Tribune's Heidi Stevens claimed on November 4th the formerly fun phrase had turned nasty and we had collectively killed it. Meanwhile, one Miami Herald columnist on November 5th exhorted his fellow oldies with "Get over it, boomers. Gen Z hates us. That's the natural order of things." But conservative upstate New York radio show host Bob Lonsberry provided undoubtedly the hottest take of all, claiming that boomer had become the N-word of ageism, suggesting that this sort of bigotry towards the older generation had become acceptable. He later deleted his comment after receiving a torrent of ridicule, like I said, over 20,000 comments, putting him in his place. Lonsberry had previously been fired from his job at Rochester, New York's Wham Radio for referring to local African-American mayor William Johnson as a monkey. So yeah, this is basically what's been going on. So now that you're filled in on this whole okay boomer craze, coming to the main course from ComicSans.com, Disney air slams fellow baby boomers for being so easily triggered by phrase okay boomer in Twitter rant. Disney heiress Abigail Disney tore into fellow baby boomers who are sensitive to the phrase okay boomer with a series of tweets. The filmmaker and philanthropist is the daughter of Roy E. Disney and granddaughter of Roy O. Disney, the late co-founder of the Walt Disney Company and older brother of Walt Disney, who jointly launched the enterprise in 1923. Okay boomer became a viral phrase that first appeared on the TikTok app and was shared among Millennials and Generation Z, who used the meme to mock baby boomers who were born between 1946 and 1964. The phrase peaked when 25-year-old lawmaker Chloe Swarbuck from New Zealand used it to shut down an older member of parliament who was heckling her while she spoke in support of a climate crisis bill. Disney accused her generation of being easily triggered in response to the generational warfare in which the younger people tell their elders whatever and move on. So let me go ahead and read these tweets because they are epic in their righteousness. Can I just say this about OK Boomer? What the hell is wrong with you, us boomers? When did you get so easily triggered? Face up to the fact that the world is changing fast, but you are not. You are old, you are not irrelevant yet, but you are less relevant every day. Given Disney's social activism, her online screed, well, I don't know that I would call it a screed, but it's hardly surprising. She's a proponent of a federal wealth tax to help bridge wealth inequality and denounced the huge income gap apparent within the Disney company. She believes that CEOs are paid way too much, and she criticized CEO of Disney Bob Iger, whose 2018 salary compensation of $66 million exposed the disparity between executives and employees within the Walt Disney Company. Iger's paycheck in 2018 was 1,000 times more than those of the median Disney employee. And that is true. If you go to Disneyland or Disney World and you look at those employees wearing the costumes, especially like Minnie, Mickey, Goofy, Donald, Duck, those costumes seldom, if ever, get washed. And these people have to wear those things for 8 to 10 hours a day, often without breaks, and for minimum wage. So, yeah. But let's go on. And the more you object to millennials' understandable resentment toward a generation that has selfishly poisoned their water, blown past every climate warning so they could drive their stupid Hummers and look away or worse for sexual, racial, and economic injustice, the more you prove their point that you just don't understand anything of value to them. Look, these kids are facing down a rising tide, literally, of changes that threatens everything you and I taught them to hold dear. Oh, and does anyone remember not trusting anyone over 30? Good Lord, I bet half of the nutnicks complaining about youth disrespecting them were all over that freight train of prejudice and bad judgment. How about you guys sit the fuck down and let the kids drive? Awesome. Butt down, Abigail. Can I call you Mom? Oh my Lord. Okay, so number 5. It's not like you've done such a great job with the time you've had. Get over the idea that all things pass. You were old and you need to let history do what history does. Move on. It looks like she's not alone in her sentiment. Nick at Night says, us young millennials and Gen Z folk are simply sticking it to the man like every other generation. The problem is that the boomer is an old, wealthy, progressive hippie driving a Mercedes. Well, it's kind of an oxymoron because they're not exactly hippies anymore, and they're really not progressive if they're driving Mercedes and taking punches at the left at every opportunity. This is why young people are shifting in a hard way. Gotta love the cycle. Our Seaman says, I'm a boomer. I think OK Boomer is hilarious, just the right amount of irreverence. We dropped the ball on gun violence, climate change, and income inequality. We started with Woodstock, but succumbed to the greed is good gang. For that, we deserve unending ridicule. And Dr. Seuss says, can I just say this about Gen Wars? Been there, done that. Every generation has its film of posers who float on the work of the serious activists and humanists. Those are who are weekend revolutionaries who join with corporations at first chance. Every generation has its sellouts, and every generation has earnest warriors fighting the tide. The wise pass on knowledge. I'm sorry, it's Monday night. I'm not feeling well, and I'm recording as I'm gulping down orange juice and dry toast. So please bear with me. All right, so yeah, the wise pass on knowledge, skills, creativity, up and down the gen divide. The foolish yell labels and curse and then strike out on their own, reinventing the wheel, or just slumping back into the couch to whine. Sigmundine says, this is some externally fueled divide in social media. I'm not triggered, but it's as stupid as don't trust anyone over 30 was 40 years ago. Angela Miller says, I refuse to accept OK Boomer for myself because I am so excited by these young people. I support them and am cheering them on every step of the way. I love their energy and their wokeness and their refusal to accept the status quo. Make this joint better. Yeah, so, and before anyone starts in on that whole woke thing, let me just shut that right down right now by saying that there is a difference between genuine wokeness and the corporate wokeness that's being marketed, and which I and others have been complaining about. Corporate wokeness is false wokeness. They don't really believe what they're pushing. They're just selling it as a marketing ploy to get you to watch bad TV shows and movies. Genuine wokeness, and this might be showing my age as a Gen Xer, part of the lost generation that nobody seems to pay attention to. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but when I first heard the phrase woke, it meant that you were woken up to the way things are really going on, so, but, this whole wokeness now, I guess it's kind of been hijacked by fake progressives to try and sell product that is really kind of shitty. And it's used by, very deeply conservative people to pretend they're liberal so they can score points with younger crowds, So, people like this, include anywhere from Bill Maher to Alyssa Milano to the people blaming Green Party voters for Caligula Trump in the White House. Well, no, that was Hillary Clinton running a piss-poor campaign and getting her friends in the media to hype Trump as a Pied Piper candidate. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. Oh, and yeah, that whole refusing to campaign in pretty much half the country and then whining about the Electoral College when you could have campaigned in the entire country and gotten the Electoral College to go with you, but you said, screw the Electoral College. Yeah. Keep blaming us for that, stupid. But yeah. Okay, so, you just scroll down through the article. I'll have a link in the description. But, so this is, just kind of hilarious to me. In fact, there's this meme that has been floating around on Facebook for quite a while. I don't have a copy of it handy to show you, but it goes basically something like boomers yell at millennials for toast. Millennials are yelling at boomers for ruining everything. Generation Z is gulping down Tide Pods and yeeting into traffic, and us Gen Xers are over here like, yeah, don't pay attention to us, okay? You screwed up our lives too, but, we didn't screw up your lives. So, whatever. We're just trying to survive with our 2 or 3 jobs and never seeing our kids. And, oh yeah, not being able to go to the doctor because we can't afford health insurance and we can't afford to pay the tax penalty for being unable to afford health insurance. We're just doing our own emergency medical field treatments and working 80 hours a week just to try and keep from starving. So, yeah. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. Hit the like button, share this video. If you want to help support the channel, head over to our Patreon or subscribe to our page. We can't do this without you. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out.